welcoming to stage Mr. Ajay Piramal, who is, of course, the chairperson of the Piramal Group, but also chairperson of the board at Pratham Education Foundation for a keynote address today.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to physically meet so many supporters of Pratham and so many of you who have been involved in Pratham, have been involved in ASER over so many years. And also all those remotely connected through the various states. I just want to welcome you and thank you for all the hard work that you all have been doing. The last few years have been challenging for Pratham, especially the COVID years, but we saw the diligence and the hard work which was put by Pratham team. So I want to just congratulate Rukmini Banerjee, our CEO, and of course Vilima, who's done all this work in ASER, for their contribution. ASER started in 2005, and as you've seen now, there have been 12 full surveys done. I remember very clearly the first time when ASER was started at the board. It was more of a concept. Some of us were worried how it will take place, what will be the reaction. And in the beginning, I can say that some of the findings of ASER were not always palatable to government, to other institutions, and they were all upset. They doubted the veracity of the data and the conclusions. But I must say that over time, ASER has now gained enough credibility that it is quoted in the economic surveys, which is given by the government of India. It is quoted in many, many international media, in the press, everywhere else. So it has got its credibility. And the reason for its credibility, of course, is that it is now spread all over the country. As you saw in the data here, 700,000 children were interviewed. It has across 616 districts of the country. And therefore, you find that from Kargil in the north to Kanyakumari in the south, and to the remotest districts in Arunachal on the east, to Kutch on the west. So across the country, this is being done. And it is done by Pratham, of course, leading it, but it is a cooperative effort where governments, schools, teachers, parents, lot of civil society, more than 30,000 volunteers are all combining to give us what we look at the status of education. It is, as you have seen, the largest rural education survey that has been carried out. The findings were just shared with us a few minutes ago. So I want to just comment on that. The first is that we've seen that in spite of in the pandemic, the number of children attending government schools has significantly gone up. In the last few years, the increase in government schools admission has been almost 10% more than it was before, which has meant also that a corresponding reduction in private school enrollment. Why is this important? On an average, if you see, when a child goes to a government school, the annual cost of that parent for schooling, including everything, is about 20,000 rupees in a year. In a private school, it is about 47,000 a year. So when a parent is sending one child to school, the saving is almost 27,000. And we found that in most private schools, I'm not talking of the schools in Delhi and Mumbai, but the rural private schools are not really, the standard of teaching is much lower than that of government schools. But yet they have this aura. But that is changing. So can you imagine the saving that is being done to a family? So even if there are 2 kids who are going in a family, you have now a saving of more than 50,000 rupees per year. So this is, I think, a very big change that has taken place, and we must applaud it, because this is a big effort that is being made by government, by NGOs, to see that children go into schools. Another interesting and very important fact is that girls are now, the enrollment of girls in schools and their continuing to remain in schools is much higher than before. And that is because of several programs like the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao program, and so on. And this has had also several benefits. First of all, you can see that because girls are getting more educated, the sex ratio at birth has actually moved in favor of girls. And now I think, maybe wrong a little bit numbers, but earlier it was nationwide almost 914 girls to 1,000 boys. That's gone up to 965. So these are in the right direction that we are moving. Another thing, because of girls going into more schools, is the impact that is happening on maternal mortality and infant mortality. And you are seeing that institutional deliveries, which is the most important criteria for maternal and infant mortality, has also gone up significantly. So these are indicators which are not, education has such a wide-reaching impact. And this is what we are seeing today. So I think I'm very excited to see these things. There were certain areas that we need to work upon. And I think the survey also showed. The main, I think there are 2 big areas that I look upon. One is to see how we can improve the attendance in schools. The attendance levels are still in the 70s. I think they need to go up. And we have to make efforts for that. The second is, we talked about what even the new education policy talks about, what the Nipun Bharat scheme talks about, is how we can increase the learning levels. Of course, one of the big initiatives that's also being done is to create what are other schools in areas. Till now, the focus was that how can you have a school very close to a child's home so that they don't have to go too far and they can actually, school attendance would go up. But now with the increase in infrastructure and all, improvement of infrastructure, government has realized that other schools or a collection of schools together to make a large school makes a difference. And that has made a positive difference. But we have to work towards that to ensure that learning levels go up. You know, we talked about the foundation learning and literacy and math. That is the most important thing. If India has to take its place as a leader in the nation, in the world today, already in this year, I think by June they say, or maybe in the second half of the year, we will be the largest, we will have the largest population in the world, the youngest population in the world. This is where we need to invest in. This is where we need the help of course, NGOs, people like Pratham, the government, the schools teachers, but corporates, we need the help of more and more civil society, because this should be a big national agenda. How do we improve the school learning levels so that ultimately India gets its rightful position as a leader in this world? And this is with this hope that just as we could increase we could increase enrollment in schools to almost now near 100%, as we could improve the enrollment for girls, we will now see that the next surveys of ASER will show us that learning levels have also gone up. So I want to just once again congratulate the team at Pratham, ASER, and thank all of you for coming here this morning. Thank you.